Hello, everyone, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of Tron Ares, the third film in the Tron films franchise. And in this version, we have Jared Leto, Greta Lee, Evan Peters, Jeff Bridges reprises his role from the previous two Tron films. And in this version, mankind encounters AI beings for the first time when a highly sophisticated program named Ares leaves the digital world for a dangerous mission in the real world. This film is directed by Joachim Rønning, who his previous two films were Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tells No Tale, and Magnificent Mistress of Evil. So he is a big Disney guy, apparently. They go to him to be a part of their franchises, but he dives into this world that is, I don't know, man. It's something funny about the Tron films. It's not globally box office big juggernaut type film franchise, but for some strange reason, it is just a little engine that can, it just keeps chugging along, and it has its fan base. And I can say that I'm a part of that fan base. I like this film series. I don't know why. It's boring at times. It's very techno jargon that I can't follow, but I enjoy those movies for what they are. I remember seeing the original Tron when it came out, and I'm dating myself, but I remember watching that movie and was just in awe of that movie, because up to that point, you didn't get special effects to that level. Entire digital set pieces and costumes and stuff like that with the grid cycles and all. It was like euphoria to me. I was literally thrown into another world watching that movie back in 1982 or 83 is when I actually saw it. I didn't see it when it first came out, but I saw it in 83, and I was just blown away. I couldn't believe that this was on the big screen. This was a actual real thing. Nowadays, yeah, it's common in film. You see stuff like that in romantic comedies as far as the digital effects that was in that movie. But you go back and watch it, and it is clearly dated, as it should be. I mean, it was 1982. It wasn't ILM at its greatest. They didn't have dinosaurs walking around like in Jurassic Park, or the Star Wars level of digital effects, but it was nice nonetheless for what it was. Tron Legacy, it was an improvement. I did enjoy it a lot, but it didn't really check the boxes in certain areas, and neither did the original. It was more of a visual feast. But the second one, it had a story. It was intriguing, and I did enjoy it for what it was. That leads us to Tron Ares, and I enjoyed it for multiple reasons. Number one, and I know this is going to be everybody's go-to here. I don't care if you hated the movie. I know everybody universally will celebrate the music. The 9-inch nail score here. Oh my God. I was a little trepidatious going into this, because Daft Punk did such a fantastic job with Tron Legacy. And I'm like, who can top that? How can you top that if you're not going to bring back Daft Punk? But Daft Punk broke up. And so they're not going to reunite just to do the score to Tron Ares. But I don't think they could have did the score to Tron Ares, because Tron Ares is a different type of film that needed a different sound. And Nine Inch Nails was perfect for this film. Oh my God, the music. I don't care if you're not into grunge rocks or the 90s. I can care less. Fortunately for me, I grew up in the 90s. I grew up with the Nirvanas and the Nine Inch Nails and all that good stuff. So I listened to all that, it, along with my hip hop. But it was just tailor made for me. And I was a big fan of Nine Inch Nails, still is. And Trent Reznor, who's done scores for multiple films, so it's not like they're new to this. Him and oh my God, I can't remember his partner's name right now. But they've done the scores for films before, multiple films. So this isn't nothing new. But this was Nine Inch Nails. this was tailor made for this movie. Perfect score for this film. The score gets an A plus. It's not even worth debating. Also getting an A plus is the visuals. This is a visual feast. The visual effects here. Now I seen it in IMAX. Uh, if any movie was born for IMAX, it was Tron Ares. If you see it in any other screen, and no disrespect to that, and if you're not around anywhere that offers a premium screen like IMAX, God bless you. I wish that things were better, to whereas you could have watched it in this format. Watching it in IMAX just brought a different level to it for me. I appreciated the film more. I I didn't read any reviews or watch any reviews or anything like that before I went to see it, because I knew basically what people would say. And so I waited till I left the theater, and on the way home I listened to a couple of reviews just to get other people's opinions of the film. And nobody's opinion matched mine. It's almost to the point where I'm like, man, I don't think I should review this movie because nobody is going to agree with me. But the whole point of me doing this show is to give my opinion. I'm not doing this to have people agree with me or try to talk people into, how I feel about a certain film or situation or political view or anything like that. That's not my goal here. I'm just giving my opinion. And so I'm listening to these reviews and I'm like, man, this is brutal, man. There are some brutal reviews of this film. Like, it's the worst movie of 2025. I kid you not. And you probably seen it and feel the same way. But unfortunately, I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way. Now, I'm not saying it's one of the best films of 2025. This movie has problems. It does have some problems that I'm going to touch in on. But overall, I went into this movie blind, not looking for anything substantial. I was just looking for a visual feast and a great soundtrack, and I got both of them. And so I was satisfied walking out. I felt like my money was well spent. Normally when I leave out the theater, I feel like I was robbed. I don't feel that way this time. I feel like I actually owe the theater money. And that's a rarity. This was a great film. As far as action, as far as the cinematography, the acting was good. It wasn't great. It was good. The actors here were basically in here to play a role. I don't want to call them props, but they're just above props. You know what I'm saying? Jared Leto, who plays Ares in this film, a lot of slings and arrows get pointed at Jared Leto. I don't understand why. I love Jared Leto. I think Jared Leto is a very underrated actor, and that's saying a lot, being as though this man owns an Academy Award. But people feel like he's a horrible actor. Ever since Joker, they feel like he's the worst actor in Hollywood. I don't get it. And spoiler alert, I actually liked his Joker. Now, was it Heath Ledger? No, he wasn't trying to be Heath Ledger. He was trying to have a different take of Joker. And if you follow Joker in the comic books, There are different versions of Joker. He was just playing that version of the Joker. I liked him. But here, I liked him again. He wasn't, it wasn't anything special to what he brought to the role. The role didn't require him to be deep. It required him to be a computer program, and that's what he was. He was a computer program. Greta Lee, our human lead here, she was all right. For the little that she's given, she's not given a whole lot in this movie to do, other than a few lines of dialogue, a few scenes with that carry some emotion that she handled fairly well. But the majority of her screen time is running from running from grid cycles and digital missiles and whatnot. That was basically her role in this film. It wasn't a lot to it, but it was good to see her in it, and she did the best she could with what she got. Evan Peters is always money. You can't go wrong with Evan Peters. Evan Peters is just an excellent actor, and the role that he plays here as the antagonist, as our, I guess you could say, lead villain, he is playing the techno billionaire evil boss type deal. Really, really good. And you know what I thought about looking at him playing this role? He is basically, in this movie, he is what Jesse Eisenberg was trying to be in Batman v Superman as Lex Luthor. That's what Evan Peters is in this movie. He is, but he's better. He's what Lex Luthor should have been in Batman v Superman. It was a nice villain role for him. He wasn't mustache twirling per se. He was just a notch above that. It could have went into cheesy category, but when you have a actor of the weight of Evan Peters, he can bring it to that next level to kind of get it out of that shameful realm, if you will. Jodie Turner-Smith as Athena in this movie really shocked me. I just thought she was in it to be in it, but she had much more to be, or to do, I should say, in this film, and she did it well. I can see her, while I was watching the movie, I can see her, if they want to go this route, since this is a Disney film, and since Marvel is owned by Disney, I can see her as Storm. I can feel her as Storm. Watching her as Athena in this film, she almost stole the movie. Almost stole the movie for me. Actually, if I really sat down and thought about it, she probably did steal the movie for me. I enjoyed her probably the most. So yeah, I'll give her that title. She stole the movie. She had an excellent role. Not much weight to it. It was underwritten. But once again, all of these characters were underwritten, but these were very talented actors that was in this movie, able to bring the most out of the role that they were given. And so with that being said, it was decent, very decent with the acting. And now, when we get to the story, before we get to the story, there's one more actor here. I'm about to get into the story as a negative, but I got to touch in one acting as the negative, but it wasn't the acting. It was the fact that he was even in the movie, and that's Jeff Bridges. And Jeff Bridges was just in this movie just to connect the other two movies. He's only in it for one scene, and it was, it wasn't essential to the story. It didn't really do anything. It was there for nostalgia. That's all it was there for. Just to say, oh, Jeff Bridges, there's Flynn. That's it. There was no other reason to have him in the film. But, I mean, look. Fine that he was in it. Felt good to see Jeff. Who doesn't love Jeff Bridges? It's the dude, man. That's Lebowski. Come on. And we love Jeff Bridges. But he was really there for nostalgia reasons. And that's it. That being said, moving on to the story. The story was It was flat. It did not have any substance to this story. There was something there. There was something there, but I don't know. I don't know if it was left on the room floor or not. I'm leaning towards it was left on the cutting room floor because you had an actor in this movie who he isn't, I would say, well known, but he's known. You know, Cameron Monaghan, who was in this movie for 2.9 seconds, and that was it. And and I'm sitting there like, that's it. You're gonna have him in this movie, and that's it. There's got to be more to this character. There's got to be more, and that's where I got kind of iffy towards the. I think that was in the first half of the movie, and I'm like, there's got to be more in this movie. It's it did, but they're leaving it on the cutting room floor. I think they left a lot on the floor to focus more on the action because there's a lot of action in this film. More action, I think, in this one film than Tron and Tron Legacy combined. There's a lot of action, and I'm not mad at that, but I think the story suffered for that. With that being said, another flaw I would say about this movie is the fact it don't connect to the other two films. Now, Jeff Bridges is in it to connect, to make it connect to the other films. But that's it. And that's the only reason he's in the movie. Like I said before, there's nothing else. Like, we left off at the end of Tron Legacy where they did set up something to move forward with the, what they call them, the isotopes, or I could be off on that. It's been a minute since I've seen Legacy, but they had the other programs that can actually live outside of the digital world in the real world, and that was that. And we move on to this film, and the digital programs can't live outside the real world, and they're fighting to get that rectified, and that's the whole plot of this movie. And it kind of poo-poos on the second movie. And I'm like, well, okay, didn't we establish that they can in the second film? And they didn't even acknowledge it until the very end of this movie, where we get a little Easter egg. But other than that, no. And I'm like, I don't know. Now, with that being said, I guess they're trying to set it apart, but you didn't set it apart because you had Easter eggs and you had Jeff Bridges in it. And so it's, what are we playing with here? Are we playing basketball or football? You can't play football on a basketball court. That doesn't make sense. So that's where I got kind of thrown off by, but I just took it for what it is and just say, okay, we're moving in a different direction because this film clearly sets up another film. And I'll be there for it. I'll be there for it. It looks like it's going to get really, really exciting moving forward if they go along with it. Now, I don't know. I guess it depends on box office, but we'll see how that plays out. Like I said, this isn't a money-making franchise here, so cross your fingers on that. But it did set up something bigger in the future if they decide to move forward with this franchise. With all that being said, I had a really good time with this movie. It was fun. It was action-packed. I mean, I never got bored at all. At no point in this film did I get bored. This was a visually stunning looking movie. I cannot believe how beautiful it looked. I mean, it is some of the best visual effects I've seen in a long, long time. It looks like they really spent a pretty penny on this movie. And I think the budget of this film was like 180. I could be off, but I think it was around that, close to 200 million to make it. I think the majority of that went into the digital effects. It looks amazing. The cinematography was amazing. The direction was amazing. I mean, it was well paced. The story was the story, but the story moved along. It did move along. It's about 2 hours long, but it didn't feel like it was 2 hours long. And if you plan to go out and see it in a theater, I implore you to go see it on a premium screen. IMAX in particular, it is worth the extra whatever it is to go see it in IMAX. It is visually stunning. Tron Ares gets a letter grade of a B plus. Yeah, it is good in my humble opinion. I mean, I wasn't looking for much. I wasn't looking for a deep philosophical movie. I was looking for exactly what I got. You know, the visuals, the music, and the action. Check, check, and check. But I would like to know, what did you think of Tron Ares, and do you plan to go see Tron Ares? Emails the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. Also, search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, don't forget about YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of Tron Ares. Want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.